afternoon, good evening. This is Ankush here from Alif Consulting. Today we are going to talk about Azure NAT Gateway. Well, before going into a deep dive into the video, let's understand what we are going to learn in this video. So we're going to understand the basic understanding. We're going to understand benefits, use case, how you can connect the NAT gateway, how you can monitor and do the performance, limitations, and at the demo we're going to learn how we can create a NAT gateway, what are the limitations, and then how we can attach it or how we can validate the ongoing uh, connection from where the connection is going on, right? So let's quickly move to the introduction. So Azure NAT Gateway is fully managed and highly resilient network address translation service. VNet simply outbound internet traffic for the virtual network when configure a subnet, and all outbound connection use the VNet static public IPs. Okay, so now what exactly and why you need it? What is the use case? Let's understand. So since this is a NAT service, it's allow you to provide the specific public IP or use the multiple public IPs to route the traffic from a VM within a one subnet. Now the use case come in place when you require a specific public IP to be connected to from the multiple VMs, and then you are connecting or integrating with the third party applications, right? Because that's something you cannot do it with the static public IP, with the static public IP assigned directly on the on the VM. But at the same time, you do have a NAT facility available in the load balancer, right? That you can do it. But you, let's say in a subnet, you have a tons of VMs where you want to use, you have a 15-20 VMs, or you have a 50 VMs, or you have a 800 VMs from where you want to use a NAT gateway or specific public IPs to be for the only for the outbound connection. Okay, right? So that something is not possible with the load balancer, because for the load balancer you need to have a load balancer, then create a pools and manage a lot of things there. With the NAT gateway, it's a pretty much simple. So you just need to attach the NAT gateway and the subnet, and all the VM will be automatically use the NAT gateway public IP for the outbound connection. Benefit security, right? So there's a security. Individual VM don't need a public IP for the outbound connection. They can remain fully private, and only the NAT gateway is going to be there, and the NAT gateway will be going to attach with the subnet, and from the subnet it will be automatically get attached to the all VMs, and then it will be use the NAT public IP to route the traffic. Resiliency, yep, it's a resiliency because it's a fully managed services and distributed service, so it's not dependent of any of the another or any of another components or any other individual VMs. Scalable, yep, it can be scalable. A NAT gateway can associate with a subnet that can be used by all computer resources in a subnet. Further, all subnet in the VNet can leverage the same resources. When associating the public IP prefix, it will be automatically scale the number of the IP address for the outbounds. Performance, yep. So NAT gateway will not impact the network bandwidth of your compute resources since it's a software defined networking service. Use cases, so you do have a multiple use cases. You can use it directly with the subnets where you don't have a public IP assigned to your VMs. You can have a public IP associated with your VM, and then you can have a NAT gateway for outbound traffics, right? In this case, what is going to be happen? The request which is coming on the VM public IP will directly respond to the public from there, but at the NAT gateway, the request which is coming on the VM will be directly responded back from the NAT gateway only. Another case, having a load balancer and having the NAT gateway, that's something you can doable. So in the middle of the middle picture, you can see whatever the traffic coming from the load balancer will be redirected or get it out from the load balancer only, and then whatever the connections are coming from the NAT gateway will be getting out from directly from the NAT gateway. At the same time, you do have a combination of using the load balancer, PIP, and NAT gateway. So it's also going to be use the same flow like other. So whatever the service, whichever the public IP service is using, either the load balancer one or either the public IP associated directly with the VM or either the public IP associated with the NAT gateway, from where traffic is coming in or getting out will be coming back in with the same public IP. Connecting a NAT gateway, so connecting with Azure resources or connecting to the internet. So when you connecting the Azure service from your private network, its recommended approach is to use the private link. A private link let you access your services in the Azure from your private network without using the public IP address, right? Connecting to the internet, that gateway is recommended for outbound scenario for all the production workload where you need to connect to a public endpoint. The following scenario is an example how you ensure the coexistence of inbound and the net gateway for the outbound. So it's a pretty much simple. So you need to make sure, okay, when you have a multiple VMs or you need to connect them with the specific IPs or the specific services from the third party. Okay, it's not like you can have a separate public IP for separate VM and then you are having 100 VMs or 500 VMs and managing the public IP for them is not a best practice, right? You can have a NAT gateway specifically for the outbound connection, and then NAT gateway will be having a specific public IP or IP suffix which the NAT gateway can use to for all the outbound traffic. Monitoring, or I can say a security. So any kind of security or any kind of monitoring or restrictions, you can use the network security group for filtering for any kind of inbound and outbound traffic from the virtual machine. And to monitor the outbound traffic from the NAT gateway, we can enable the NSG flow log. Another one is NAT gateway performance. So each NAT gateway can provide us up to 50 Gbps of throughput. We can split our deployments in the multiple subnets, assigning each subnet or a group of subnet to have a specific net gateway to scale out, and each net gateway can support 64,000 flow each for TCP and UDP per assignment outbound IP. Limitations. So yeah, there is a few limitations. So basic load balancer and basic public IPs are not compatible with the NAT. So whenever you are having a public IP associated with your load balancer or associated with your VM with the basic SKU, you would not be able to attach the NAT gateway in that specific subnet. So you need to make sure that they should use a standard load balancer or the standard public IP. Another one, IP fragmentations is not available with the NAT gateway. Well, let's have a demo. So in the demo, I'm going to show you how you can create a NAT gateway, how you can attach it with the subnet, and how you are going to validate the outbound public IP for Azure VM when you are attaching a NAT gateway. Let's quickly jump to the Azure portal. So in my Azure portal, I already have a VM created, and this VM is basically in the one of the subnet, which is Alif demo subnet. And in the subnet, I don't have any NAT gateway attached yet. So let's quickly go ahead and create the NAT gateway. For that, you can search for NAT gateway on top, or you can click on create a new resources. Or here, search for NAT gateway. You will see a plenty of other options as well, but we need to select a Microsoft one. So select for this one and click on create and then click on NAT gateway. Define the resource group, define the name. Let's give it NJ01. So in my location, in my case, the VM is in a center India, so I'm going to create in a center India. And then you do have availability zone, and you do have a available idle timeout for a connection. So by default, it started till 120 minutes. So you can do that and you can define it. So if you go for 3, it would not be going to accept it because the 4 minute is the minimum idle time. So in this case, what happen, any connection going outside or happening through the NAT gateway will be going to there for idle for 4 minutes, and after that it will go automatically killed based on the configuration which you're defining here. And then you can define it in the availability zone. Now you do have an option to use the public IP, or you do have an option to use the IP prefix as well. So if you have an IP prefix, you can use that as well, or if you have public IP, you can use that as well, right? So to create the public IP, simply you need to define the name NG01 pip, That's it. Or if you also want to assign the prefix, you can do that as well, and then you can select how many public IPs you are looking for. So let's say if you're looking for /28, in which you are going to get 16 IP. So let's define the name NJ01 slash IP. Okay, letter number and with the letter. I think this is not going to pick this one. Okay, okay. So this is not the issue. Issue is this. I have used a special character which is not supported here. So let's correct this name, right? Click on OK. So you would be going to get /28. So in my case, I do have a limitation, so I would not be able to do it. So let's go ahead and create and use the lower one. NJ01 brief. That's it. Okay. I don't want to. I wanted this. I don't want this. Okay, that's it. And click on next. And here you do have option to attach the subnet, or you can do it later on as well. So in my case, I am not going to do it right now. I will be going to do it later on. And then you can put your tags and click on review plus create. It's going to validate the configuration and then click on create. It's going to take hardly maximum 2 minutes to deploy NAT gateway, and sometime it may take more uh, basically, but usually it's happen within 2 minutes and the net gateway will be get deployed. Well, you see, the things has been getting deployed, so the net gateway is completed, IP prefix is done, and IP address is also created. If you click on the go to the resources, this is the one which we have created, and then it's showing you it's currently not in operation because it has not been assigned to the any subnet yet, so that's the reason it's not in operation. So you do have option to configure a few things, like you do have option to configure uh, the 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 IP address, or you do have a configure the IP prefix. If you want to change it, you can do the changes from here as well. Click on change, you can select the IP or the prefix, and you can change it. And then you do have an option to see where it's associated, right? So you can select and you can click on save if you directly want to do that, or you do have an option going into the virtual network in the subnet, and from there you can do that. And you do have option to do define the configuration like idle timeout up, and if you want to basically slow down, or if you want to basically change the idle timeout, right? And then you do have a few insights options, and then you do have alerts, like all of these things you can. So in the inside option you would be able to see what are the IP prefix or IP addresses has been assigned, and then you do have an option to create the alerts. You have option to do the metrics, like how many packet is there, how many is data path is available, how many drops packet is there, all of those things you can do it. All right, so let's quickly go back to the DVM. So if I see what is my IP, so as of now it's going to use my VM IP. So this is my VM IP, and if you see, this is from here you can match it, right? So it's the same, but as soon as I go back and assign this to my subnet, right, and then I do what is my IP, that is going to be changed. That IP is going to be get from either from here or either from here. So if you go back, do what is my IP, so you may need to start from uh, so if you see, no, it's still not taking it because it's going to take a little time to get update the network connection. So let's wait for a few seconds to get the setting applied. So usually it's take 2 to 3 minutes to get the settings apply, and once that is done, you would be able to see the IP has been changed for this VM. So now you will see this IP has been changed. Now it's picking up from the one of the IP which has been associated. Now all the traffic or everything, even if you search for anything like a Microsoft.com, or if you do the MX Toolbox, any website, anything, you will be going to see that's directly going from the NAT gateway. Now if you go under the metrics, and you would be able to see some traffic here that is being uh, logged by NAT gateway. So as of now, this has been, yep, you can see now this is the traffic because it just started here. How many connection count is there? So you can see these are the connection count is there. You can see the count or all the stuff from here, right? So that's how, if you go uh, uh, locate my IP, you would be able to see more information or more real insights as well, right? Uh, no, this is not the correct website actually. Yep, this is the one. Where is my IP located? So you will be able to see what is my IP is and where it is located is. The full information would be available from here since it's a Microsoft Corporation IP. Yep, this is the IP which has been coming from the NAT gateway. And if you want to see more details, you can go ahead and click from here to find out the more detail about the NAT gateway. So you would be able to see the country, organization, and everything you would be able to see. Latitude, longitude, everything would be able to see it, right? So that's how a NAT gateway work. And at the same time, if you want to attach it from the subnet, sorry, from the virtual network, what you need to do, you need to go on the virtual network, you need to click on subnet, and you need to select the subnet where you want to attach, and then from here under the NAT gateway you do have option to attach the NAT gateway or change the NAT gateway. In my case I do have a 2, so if you want to change it you can change it, or if you want to attach a new one you can do that as well from here. Well, in the this demo we learned how we can create the NAT gateway, how we can attach it to the subnet, or how VM will be going to use the NAT gateway for all the outbound traffic. Well, I hope you like this video. If you like, please click on like and subscribe for more upcoming videos. And feel free to reach us if you need any help in your cloud journey. Thank you.